My name is Estelle Brooks, and I'm 58 years old. Last Saturday evening, my daughter Violet made a choice that broke my heart into pieces I didn't know could be broken. I was lying in a hospital bed, recovering from emergency surgery. The doctors had just removed my gallbladder after it became infected and nearly killed me. I was in pain, scared, and alone. The surgery had been unexpected. I'd gone to the emergency room Friday night thinking I had bad indigestion, only to be rushed into surgery within hours. I'd called Violet from my hospital bed Saturday afternoon, my voice weak and shaky. "Violet, honey, I'm in the hospital," I said. "I had emergency surgery last night. They removed my gallbladder. Can you come stay with me? I'm scared and I don't want to be alone." There was a pause on the other end of the line. Then Violet spoke, and her words felt like a knife to my heart. "Mom, I can't come right now," Violet said. "I'm at Harper's house. We're having a girls' day, me, Harper, Iris, and Bailey. We've had this planned for weeks. We're doing spa treatments and then going out to dinner. I can't just bail on them." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Violet, I just had surgery. I'm alone in the hospital. I need you." "Mom, you're being dramatic," Violet said, her tone dismissive. "You're in a hospital. You have nurses and doctors. You're not alone. Besides, the surgery is already over. You're fine. I'll come see you tomorrow after my girls' day is done." "But Violet," I started to protest. "Mom, I have to go," Violet interrupted. "Harper is calling me. We're about to start our facials. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you, bye." She hung up. I lay in that hospital bed, staring at my phone, tears streaming down my face. My daughter, my only child, the baby I'd raised alone after her father died, the young woman I'd sacrificed everything for, had just chosen a spa day with her friends over being with her mother after emergency surgery. That night, lying alone in that hospital bed, I made a decision that would change my relationship with Violet forever. If Violet could choose her friends over me, then I could choose myself over her. The next day, when Violet finally showed up at the hospital with takeout food and a guilty smile, acting like nothing had happened, I told her something that shocked her to her core. "Violet, I've made some decisions," I said calmly, "and I think you need to hear them." "What decisions?" Violet asked, confused. "I'm done," I said simply. "I'm done putting you first. I'm done sacrificing for you. I'm done being there for you when you're never there for me. From now on, I'm choosing myself." Violet laughed nervously. "Mom, what are you talking about? You're being dramatic because you're upset about yesterday. I said I was sorry." "You didn't say you were sorry," I interrupted. "Not once. You haven't apologized. You've made excuses. You've acted like what you did was reasonable. But Violet, it wasn't. And I'm not going to accept it anymore." "Accept what?" Violet asked, her smile fading. "Accept being treated like I don't matter," I said. "Accept being your last priority. Accept being the mother you call when you need something but ignore when I need you. That ends now." "Mom, you're overreacting," Violet started. "Get out," I said quietly. "What?" Violet looked stunned. "I said get out," I repeated, my voice stronger. "Leave. I don't want you here. You chose your friends over me yesterday. Today I'm choosing peace over you. Leave." Violet stared at me in shock. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious," I said. "Leave now, Violet, and don't come back until you're ready to acknowledge what you did and genuinely apologize." Violet stood there for a long moment, her face a mix of confusion, hurt, and anger. Then she grabbed her purse and stormed out of my hospital room without another word. After she left, I felt something I hadn't felt in years: relief and resolve. My daughter had chosen her friends over her own mother. The next day, I chose myself. And that choice, that simple decision to finally put myself first, would lead to revelations that would shake our relationship to its core. Revelations about how Violet really saw me. Revelations about the kind of daughter she'd become. And revelations about what I needed to do to reclaim my life and my self-respect. But to understand why that moment in the hospital was so devastating, and why my decision to choose myself was so necessary, you need to understand the whole story. You need to know about the years I spent putting Violet first, always. You need to know about the sacrifices I made that she never acknowledged. You need to know about the pattern of behavior that led to that phone call from the hospital. And you need to know about what happened after I kicked Violet out of my hospital room. When she realized that for the first time in her life, her mother wasn't going to bend, wasn't going to forgive easily, and wasn't going to put up with being treated as less important than a spa day with friends. 28 years ago, when Violet was 2 years old, my husband Marcus died in a car accident. He was driving home from work when a drunk driver ran a red light and hit him. Marcus died instantly. I was 28 years old, with a toddler and no life insurance. Marcus and I had been planning to get life insurance, but we'd kept putting it off because we were young and it seemed like something we could do later. Later never came. After Marcus died, I was left alone to raise Violet. I had a job as a receptionist at a medical office, but it barely paid enough to cover rent and childcare. I had no family nearby to help. My parents had passed away years earlier, and Marcus's family had never approved of our marriage. So I did what I had to do. I worked. I took on a second job cleaning offices at night. I worked 60 hours a week, sometimes more. I missed Violet's bedtimes. I missed school events. I missed so much of her childhood because I was working to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. But I always made sure Violet had what she needed. She had clothes, even if mine were worn. She had birthday parties, even if I had to save for months to afford them. She had Christmas presents, even if it meant I went into debt on credit cards. Violet was my world, and I sacrificed everything to give her a good life. When Violet was 15, she started talking about going to college. She wanted to study business and become a marketing executive. She had big dreams. I wanted to support those dreams, but I had a problem. I had no money saved for college. So I made a decision. I took out loans. I worked extra shifts. I cut expenses everywhere I could. And over the next 3 years, I managed to save $25,000 for Violet's college fund. It wasn't enough to cover 4 years of college, but it was a start. Combined with student loans and financial aid, it would help. When Violet graduated high school and got accepted to a good university, I was so proud. And when I told her I'd saved $25,000 to help with her education, she hugged me and cried and said, "Mom, thank you. I'll make you proud. I promise." Violet went to college, but instead of studying business like she'd planned, she changed her major 3 times. First to art history, then to communications, then to sociology. With each major change, her graduation got pushed back. Instead of graduating in 4 years, it took her 6 years to finish her degree in sociology, a degree she never ended up using. During those 6 years, I continued to help her financially. I sent her money for rent. I paid for her textbooks. I covered unexpected expenses when she ran out of money. By the time Violet graduated, I'd spent not just the $25,000 I'd saved, but an additional $30,000 from my own savings and credit cards. $55,000 total, more than a year of my salary, given to my daughter to support her education. When Violet graduated, I attended her ceremony alone. I was so proud, even though I was exhausted and broke. After the ceremony, Violet's friends invited her to go out to celebrate. She asked if I minded. "Go ahead, honey," I said. "Have fun with your friends. We can celebrate tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. Violet went out with her friends that night and forgot to celebrate with me. It hurt, but I told myself she was young and excited. I told myself she'd make it up to me. She never did. 5 years ago, Violet got a good job at a marketing firm in a city 3 hours away. She was excited about the opportunity, and I was happy for her. But I was also sad. Violet would be moving away, and I'd see her less often. "Don't worry, Mom," Violet assured me. "I'll visit all the time, and you can come visit me. We'll still see each other plenty." Violet moved away, and at first she did visit. Once a month she'd drive home for a weekend. We'd have dinner, catch up, spend time together. But gradually, The visits became less frequent. Once a month became once every 2 months, then every 3 months, then only on major holidays. When I asked Violet why she wasn't visiting as often, she'd say she was busy with work. She had friends in the city. She had a social life. She couldn't always make the 3-hour drive. I understood. I told myself it was natural for adult children to have their own lives. But I missed her, and I wished she'd make more of an effort to stay connected. 3 years ago, I ran into financial trouble. I'd been working at the medical office for 30 years, but the office closed down. I lost my job at age 55. I tried to find another job, but it was hard. Most employers wanted younger workers. The jobs I could get paid minimum wage, not enough to cover my bills. I called Violet, hoping she might be able to help me financially, just for a few months until I found something better. "Mom, I wish I could help," Violet said. "But I just bought a new car, and I'm planning a vacation with my friends. I really can't afford to lend you money right now." "I'm not asking you to lend me money," I said. "I'm asking if you could help me, just a few $100s a month until I find work. I helped you through 6 years of college. I spent $55,000 on your education. I'm just asking for a little help in return." "Mom, that's not fair," Violet said. "You chose to help me with college. I didn't force you to do that. You can't hold that over my head now." "I'm not holding it over your head," I said, hurt. "I'm just asking my daughter for help during a hard time." "And I'm telling you I can't help," Violet said firmly. "Mom, you need to figure this out on your own. You're an adult. Act like it." She hung up. I sat there, shocked. My daughter, the daughter I'd worked 2 jobs to support, the daughter I'd spent $55,000 educating, the daughter I'd sacrificed everything for, had just told me to figure it out on my own. Eventually, I did figure it out. I found a part-time job at a grocery store. It didn't pay much, but combined with my small savings, I managed to survive. But I never forgot what Violet said, and I never forgot how quickly she refused to help me after all I'd done for her. 1 year ago, I turned 57. It was a milestone birthday, and I'd hoped Violet would do something special to celebrate. I didn't expect a big party. I just hoped she'd come visit, maybe take me out to dinner, spend some time with me. But when my birthday arrived, Violet didn't visit. She didn't even call. Instead, she texted me, "Happy birthday, Mom. Sorry I can't be there today. Harper is having a crisis and needs me. I'll make it up to you soon. Love you." I waited for soon to come. It never did. A week later, I saw photos on Violet's social media. She was at a friend's birthday party, a big celebration with decorations, cake, gifts, and all of Violet's friends. Violet had time to attend a friend's birthday party, but hadn't had time to call her own mother on her birthday. That hurt, more than I wanted to admit. 6 months ago, I started noticing a pattern in my relationship with Violet. When Violet needed something, advice about a work problem, help moving furniture, someone to listen to her complain about a difficult boss, she'd call me, and I'd always be there for her. But when I needed something, company because I was lonely, help with a home repair, someone to talk to about a health concern, Violet was always too busy. "Sorry, Mom, I have plans with Iris tonight." "Can't this weekend, Mom. Harper and I are going to a concert." "I'm really swamped with work, Mom. Can we talk later?" Later never came. I started to realize something painful. I was only important to Violet when she needed something from me. The rest of the time, I was an afterthought. Her friends came first. Her work came first. Her social life came first. I came last. And that realization broke something inside me. Last Friday evening, I started feeling sick. I thought I had indigestion, sharp pains in my upper abdomen, nausea, feeling like I couldn't breathe properly. I took some antacids and tried to rest, but the pain got worse. By 10 p.m., I was in so much pain I could barely move. I drove myself to the emergency room. The ER doctor examined me and ordered tests. Within an hour, he came back with bad news. "Mrs. Brooks, you have acute cholecystitis. Severe gallbladder infection, the doctor said. Your gallbladder is inflamed and showing signs it might rupture. We need to remove it immediately. How soon? I asked, scared. Tonight, the doctor said. We're prepping you for emergency surgery right now. I was terrified. I'd never had surgery before, and I was alone. I called Violet from my hospital bed before they took me to surgery. Violet, I'm in the hospital, I said, my voice shaking. I'm about to have emergency surgery. They're removing my gallbladder. I'm scared. Can you come be with me? Oh my God, Mom, Violet said, sounding concerned. Are you okay? I'm scared, I admitted. I don't want to be alone. Mom, I'm 3 hours away, Violet said. By the time I get there, your surgery will probably be over. There's no point in me driving down tonight. I'll come tomorrow, okay? You'll be fine. The doctors know what they're doing. But Violet, I started. Mom, I have to go, Violet interrupted. I'm at Harper's house and we're in the middle of planning our girls' day tomorrow. I'll call you after your surgery to make sure you're okay. Don't worry, you're going to be fine. She hung up. I lay in that pre-surgery bed, alone and terrified, and I realized, even in a medical emergency, I wasn't Violet's priority. The surgery went well. I woke up Saturday morning in a hospital room, groggy and in pain but alive. I had no visitors, no flowers, no cards, just me and the nurses checking on me periodically. Saturday afternoon, after I'd been awake for a few hours and the pain medication had worn off enough for me to think clearly, I called Violet again. Violet, honey, I'm out of surgery, I said. Can you come stay with me? I'm in pain and I'm scared and I don't want to be alone. That's when Violet said the words that broke my heart. Mom, I can't come right now. I'm at Harper's house. We're having a girls' day, me, Harper, Iris, and Bailey. We've had this planned for weeks. We're doing spa treatments and then going out to dinner. I can't just bail on them. Violet, I just had surgery. I'm alone in the hospital. I need you. Mom, you're being dramatic. You're in a hospital. You have nurses and doctors. You're not alone. Besides, the surgery is already over. You're fine. I'll come see you tomorrow after my girls' day is done. But Violet. Mom, I have to go. Harper is calling me. We're about to start our facials. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you, bye. She hung up. I stared at my phone, unable to believe what had just happened. My daughter had just told me that spa treatments with her friends were more important than being with her mother after emergency surgery. I lay in that hospital bed, crying, not from physical pain, the medication handled that, but from emotional pain. My daughter didn't care about me, not really. I was convenient when she needed something, but when I needed her, she couldn't be bothered. And that's when I made my decision. If Violet could choose her friends over me, I could choose myself over her. No more sacrificing for a daughter who didn't appreciate it. No more putting Violet first when she always put me last. No more being the mother who gave everything and received nothing in return. I was done. Sunday morning, Violet finally showed up at the hospital. She walked in carrying takeout food and wearing a guilty smile. Hey, Mom, Violet said brightly. I brought you breakfast. How are you feeling? I looked at my daughter. She was wearing expensive workout clothes, designer leggings, and a matching top that probably cost more than I made in a week. Her hair was perfectly styled. Her nails were freshly manicured from yesterday's spa day. She looked like someone who'd spent a relaxing weekend pampering herself, not like someone who was worried about her mother. I'm fine, I said flatly. Good, Violet said, setting the food on my bedside table. I got you pancakes and bacon, your favorite. She was acting like nothing was wrong, like she hadn't chosen a spa day over being with me after surgery, like showing up a day late made everything okay. Violet, sit down, I said. We need to talk. Okay, Violet said, sitting in the chair beside my bed. What's up? I've made some decisions, I said calmly, and I think you need to hear them. What decisions? Violet asked, confused. I'm done, I said simply. I'm done putting you first. I'm done sacrificing for you. I'm done being there for you when you're never there for me. From now on, I'm choosing myself." Violet laughed nervously. "Mom, what are you talking about?" "You're being dramatic because you're upset about yesterday. I said I was sorry." "You didn't say you were sorry," I interrupted. "Not once. You haven't apologized. You've made excuses. You've acted like what you did was reasonable. But Violet, it wasn't. And I'm not going to accept it anymore." "Accept what?" Violet asked, her smile fading. "Accept being treated like I don't matter," I said. "Accept being your last priority. Accept being the mother you call when you need something but ignore when I need you. That ends now." "Mom, you're overreacting," Violet started. "Get out," I said quietly. "What?" Violet looked stunned. "I said get out, leave. I don't want you here. You chose your friends over me yesterday. Today I'm choosing peace over you. Leave." Violet stared at me in shock. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Leave now, Violet. And don't come back until you're ready to acknowledge what you did and genuinely apologize." Violet's face went through several emotions: confusion, hurt, anger. Finally, she stood up and grabbed her purse. "Fine," she said coldly. "If that's how you want it, I'll leave. But when you calm down and realize you're overreacting, don't expect me to come running back." "I won't," I said, "because I'm not overreacting, and I'm not going to calm down and pretend this is okay. Leave, Violet." Violet stormed out of my hospital room without another word. After she left, I sat in the silence, feeling a strange mix of emotions: sadness, relief, anger, but mostly I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. Free from the expectation that I had to accept whatever treatment Violet gave me because she was my daughter. Free from the obligation to always forgive, always understand, always put her first. Free to finally choose myself. My daughter had chosen her friends over her own mother. The next day, I chose myself. And that choice was just the beginning. Before I continue, kindly smash that like button and turn on notifications. Drop a comment. Did Estelle do the right thing? Should children always prioritize parents? Where are you watching from? After Violet stormed out of my hospital room Sunday morning, I spent the rest of the day alone. The nurses came in periodically to check on me, but otherwise, I was by myself with my thoughts. Part of me felt guilty. Had I been too harsh? Should I have accepted Violet's takeout breakfast and her presence, even though she was a day late and hadn't apologized? But then I remembered lying in that hospital bed Saturday afternoon, scared and in pain, listening to Violet tell me that spa treatments with her friends were more important than being with me after emergency surgery. And I knew I'd made the right decision. I was discharged from the hospital Monday afternoon. The doctor gave me instructions for recovery: rest, take pain medication as needed, no heavy lifting for 6 weeks, follow-up appointment in 2 weeks. I called a taxi to take me home. I didn't call Violet to pick me up. I didn't want to give her another opportunity to choose her friends over me. When I got home to my small apartment, it felt emptier than usual. I'd lived alone for years, but this was different. This was the first time I'd come home from the hospital without my daughter checking on me. I settled onto my couch with my pain medication and my phone, and that's when I saw the text messages. Violet had sent me 3 messages while I was being discharged. The first message: "Mom, I talked to Harper about what happened. She thinks you were really unfair to me. You embarrassed me by kicking me out of your hospital room. I was trying to be nice by bringing you breakfast." I stared at that message in disbelief. Violet had told Harper about our confrontation, and instead of realizing she'd been wrong, Violet was portraying herself as the victim. The second message: "Harper said you're probably going through something emotionally because of the surgery. She said older women sometimes get hormonal and dramatic after medical procedures. So I'm willing to forgive you for overreacting if you're willing to apologize for how you treated me." I felt my anger rising. Violet wanted me to apologize for being upset that she chose a spa day over being with me after emergency surgery. The third message: "I'm giving you some space to calm down. When you're ready to talk like an adult, let me know. But I'm not going to keep begging for your forgiveness when I didn't do anything wrong. You're my mother. You're supposed to be supportive and understanding, not dramatic and mean." I read those 3 messages multiple times, each time feeling more hurt and angry. Violet still didn't understand what she'd done wrong. She still thought I was overreacting. And she discussed our private family situation with Harper, who apparently agreed that I was being unreasonable. That's when I made my second decision. The first decision had been to choose myself over Violet. The second decision was to show Violet, through actions, not just words, that I was serious about that choice. I opened my phone settings and blocked Violet's number. Then I opened social media and unfriended her on every platform. I wasn't doing this to punish Violet. I was doing it to protect myself. I couldn't keep being hurt by a daughter who didn't value me. I couldn't keep hoping she'd change when she clearly didn't think she'd done anything wrong. So I removed her from my life. Not forever, just until she was ready to genuinely acknowledge what she'd done and apologize. If that day ever came. Monday evening, my phone started ringing. It was Violet calling from a different number, probably Harper's phone since I'd blocked her. I didn't answer. She called 3 more times. Each time I let it go to voicemail. Finally, she left a message. I listened to it later that evening. "Mom, why did you block my number?" Violet's voice sounded more annoyed than concerned. "That's really immature, and I can't see your social media anymore either. Did you unfriend me? Mom, you're acting like a child. I'm trying to give you space like you asked, but you're making it impossible for me to check on you. What if something happens and I need to reach you? You're being ridiculous. Call me back when you stop acting crazy." I deleted the voicemail. An hour later, my phone rang again. This time it was from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello," I said cautiously. "Estelle, it's Harper." The voice on the other end was bright and friendly, too friendly, considering the circumstances. "Harper," I said flatly, "why are you calling me?" "Well, Violet is really upset," Harper said. "She said you blocked her and unfriended her on social media. She's worried about you. She thinks you might be having some kind of breakdown after your surgery." "I'm not having a breakdown," I said. "I'm setting boundaries." "But Estelle, Violet is your daughter," Harper said, as if I didn't know this. "You can't just cut her out of your life because you're mad at her. That's not how family works." "Harper, with all due respect, this is between me and my daughter," I said. "It's not your business." "Violet made it my business when she asked me to call you," Harper said. "She wanted me to check on you since you won't answer her calls. She's worried you're alone and might need help recovering from surgery." If Violet was worried about me being alone and needing help, she should have been here Saturday instead of getting facials with you, I said, unable to keep the bitterness out of my voice. "Estelle, that's not fair," Harper said. "Violet told me what happened. You had emergency surgery Friday night. By Saturday afternoon, the surgery was already over. You were fine. There was no reason for Violet to cancel our plans. It's not like you were dying." "I could have been dying," I said. "The doctor said my gallbladder was about to rupture. If I'd waited another day to go to the hospital, I might have died from the infection. But even knowing that, Violet chose spa treatments over being with me." "But she came the next day," Harper pointed out. "She brought you breakfast. She was trying to be there for you, and you kicked her out and told her not to come back. Estelle, you really hurt Violet's feelings." I felt my anger reaching a boiling point. "Harper, I'm going to say this once. My relationship with my daughter is not your concern. Violet is an adult. If she has a problem with me, she can speak to me directly, not send her friend to guilt-trip me. And if you call me again to defend Violet's behavior, I'll block your number too. Are we clear?" "I'm just trying to help," Harper said, sounding offended. "I don't need your help," I said. "Goodbye, Harper." I hung up and immediately blocked Harper's number. I sat on my couch, shaking with anger and hurt. Not only had Violet refused to acknowledge what she'd done wrong, but she'd sent her friend to harass me on her behalf. This confirmed what I already suspected. Violet saw herself as the victim in this situation, and her friends were supporting that delusion. Tuesday morning, I received a phone call from my younger sister Lydia, who lived in another state. "Estelle, I just got off the phone with Violet," Lydia said. "She told me you had emergency surgery and now you're not speaking to her. What's going on?" I explained the situation to Lydia. The emergency surgery, calling Violet to ask her to come to the hospital, Violet choosing her girls' day over being with me. The confrontation Sunday morning when Violet showed up without apologizing. Lydia was quiet for a moment after I finished. Then she said something that surprised me. "Estelle, I'm on your side," Lydia said. "What Violet did was wrong. When your mother is in the hospital after emergency surgery, you drop everything and go be with her. That's what family does." I felt tears spring to my eyes. "Thank you for saying that. I was starting to think I was crazy for being upset." "You're not crazy," Lydia assured me. "You're hurt, and you have every right to be. Estelle, I've watched you sacrifice for Violet her entire life. You raised her alone after Marcus died. You worked 2 jobs to support her. You put her through 6 years of college, and this is how she treats you. It's not okay." "Violet thinks I'm overreacting," I said. "She told Harper that I'm being hormonal and dramatic because of the surgery." "Of course she does," Lydia said. "Because if Violet admits you're right, she has to admit she was wrong. And from what you've told me about her over the years, Violet doesn't like admitting she's wrong." "She doesn't," I agreed. "Lydia, I don't know what to do. I can't keep having a relationship with someone who treats me like I don't matter. But she's my daughter. I love her." "Love doesn't mean accepting poor treatment," Lydia said. "Estelle, you did the right thing by setting boundaries. Now you need to stick to them. Don't let Violet guilt trip you into backing down. And don't let her friends make you feel like you're the problem." "Harper called me yesterday," I told Lydia. "She said I hurt Violet's feelings by kicking her out of my hospital room." "Harper can mind her own business," Lydia said bluntly. "She doesn't get a vote in your relationship with your daughter. Neither does anyone else. This is between you and Violet Violet needs to learn that actions have consequences." "Thank you," I said. "I needed to hear that." "I'm here for you," Lydia said. "If you need anything while you're recovering, someone to talk to, help with groceries, anything, call me. I'm 3 states away, but I can arrange things for you." "I appreciate that," I said. After I hung up with Lydia, I felt a little better. At least one person in my life understood why I was upset and supported my decision to set boundaries. But I still felt sad, because the person I really wanted to understand was Violet, and she clearly didn't. Wednesday afternoon, I was scrolling through social media on my laptop. I'd unfriended Violet on my phone, but I could still see her public posts on my computer when I saw something that made my blood boil. Violet had posted a long status update. I read it with growing anger. The post said, "Having a really hard week. My mom had emergency surgery last week and I went to visit her in the hospital. I brought her breakfast and tried to be supportive, but she kicked me out and told me not to come back. She's been blocking my calls and won't talk to me. I'm so worried about her, but I don't know what to do. I think the surgery affected her mentally. Please send prayers for my mom's recovery and for our relationship. It's been really hurtful to be pushed away when I'm just trying to help." Below the post were dozens of comments from Violet's friends, all sympathizing with her. "I'm so sorry you're going through this. You're such a good daughter. Your mom is lucky to have you. I hope she realizes that soon. Prayers for you and your mom. This must be so hard for you. You did nothing wrong. Sometimes older people get confused after surgery. Give her time." I sat there staring at that post, furious. Violet had completely twisted the story to make herself look like the victim and me look like an unreasonable, possibly mentally unstable mother. She'd left out the part where she chose a spa day over visiting me in the hospital. She'd left out the part where she didn't apologize for that choice. She'd left out the part where she told Harper I was being hormonal and dramatic. Instead, she'd portrayed herself as a caring daughter being pushed away by her irrational mother. And all her friends believed her. I wanted to comment on the post and tell the truth, I wanted to explain what really happened, but I knew that would just make me look petty and would give Violet more ammunition to paint me as the unstable one. So I did something else instead. I screenshotted Violet's post, and I saved our text message conversation from Monday, the one where Violet said I was hormonal and dramatic and needed to apologize to her. I was building a file, evidence of what Violet was really like, not for her friends, they'd already chosen their side, but for myself, to remind myself why I'd made the choice to set boundaries, to remind myself that I wasn't crazy or overreacting. Because when you're being gaslit and manipulated, it's easy to start doubting yourself. It's easy to think maybe you are overreacting, maybe you are being too sensitive, maybe you should just forgive and forget. But I had the screenshots. I had the evidence. I had proof that Violet was lying to her friends about what happened and refusing to take responsibility for her actions. And that proof would help me stay strong when Violet inevitably tried to guilt-trip me into backing down. Thursday evening, I received a call from Iris, one of Violet's friends from the spa day, but also someone I'd known for years. Iris had been Violet's college roommate, and I'd always liked her. "Hi, Estelle," Iris said when I answered. "I hope it's okay that I'm calling. Violet doesn't know I'm reaching out to you." "What can I do for you, Iris?" I asked cautiously. "I wanted to check on you," Iris said. "I heard you had emergency surgery. Are you okay?" "I'm recovering," I said. "Thank you for asking." "I also wanted to talk to you about what happened with Violet," Iris continued. "I was at Harper's house on Saturday when Violet got your call. I heard the whole conversation." "Oh," I said, surprised. "Estelle, I need to tell you something," Iris said. "And I hope you won't be offended, but I think Violet was wrong." I felt tears spring to my eyes. "You do?" "Yes," Iris said firmly. "When Violet told you she couldn't come to the hospital because of our spa day, I was shocked. Harper and Bailey thought it was fine. They said you were already out of surgery, so there was no emergency. But I disagreed. I told Violet she should go be with you." "What did she say?" I asked. "She said you were being dramatic," Iris admitted. "She said you always get emotional and needy when something happens, and she was tired of dropping everything for you. She said she deserved to have a fun day with her friends without guilt." I closed my eyes, hurt by Violet's words even though they were secondhand. "I didn't agree with her," Iris continued. "But it wasn't my place to argue. It's Violet's relationship with you, not mine. But Estelle, I've been thinking about it all week. And I keep coming back to the same thought. If my mom had emergency surgery and called me from the hospital, I would have left immediately. I wouldn't have cared about spa treatments or plans with friends. My mom would come first." "Thank you for saying that," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "Everyone else seems to think I'm overreacting." "You're not overreacting," Iris said. "And I wanted you to know that not everyone agrees with Harper and Violet. I think you have every right to be hurt and angry. What Violet did was selfish." "Did you tell her that?" I asked. "I tried," Iris said. "On Sunday, after she came back from the hospital and told us you'd kicked her out, I asked her if she'd apologize to you. She said there was nothing to apologize for. That's when I realized Violet doesn't see what she did as wrong." "She doesn't," I confirmed. "She thinks I'm being dramatic and hormonal." "I know," Iris said sadly. "I saw her social media post about it. Estelle, I'm not going to comment on that post or publicly disagree with Violet. She's my friend, and I don't want to get in the middle of your relationship. But I wanted you to know privately that I think you're right. And I think Violet needs to do some serious reflecting about how she treats you." "Thank you, Iris," I said. "You have no idea how much it means to hear that from someone who knows both sides of the story." "I hope you and Violet can work this out eventually," Iris said. "But Estelle, please don't let her bully you into apologizing when you didn't do anything wrong. What you're doing, setting boundaries and demanding respect, that's healthy. Don't back down just because Violet and her other friends are making you feel like the bad guy." After I hung up with Iris, I cried. Not from sadness this time, but from relief. At least one of Violet's friends could see the truth. At least one person understood why I was hurt and supported my decision to set boundaries. It gave me hope that maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe I was doing the right thing. Friday marked 1 week since my emergency surgery. I'd expected the first week of recovery to be hard physically, and it was. I was still in pain, still moving slowly, still taking medication. But I hadn't expected it to be this hard emotionally. I missed Violet. Despite everything, despite her choosing her friends over me, despite her refusing to apologize, despite her lying on social media about what happened, I still missed my daughter. I missed having someone to call when I was lonely. I missed having someone check on me. I missed having a daughter who cared. But I also knew that the Violet I missed wasn't the real Violet. The Violet I missed was the daughter I'd imagined I had, the one who would drop everything to be with her sick mother, the one who would apologize when she hurt me, the one who would value our relationship over spa days with friends. That Violet didn't exist, or if she did, she'd been gone for a long time. The real Violet was the one who'd chosen a facial over her mother, the one who told me to stop being dramatic, the one who demanded I apologize to her for setting boundaries. And I couldn't keep pretending the imaginary Violet was real. Friday afternoon, I made a decision. I was going to therapy. I'd never been to therapy before. I'd always told myself I didn't need it, that I could handle my problems on my own. But this situation with Violet was breaking me in ways I didn't know how to fix. I needed help, professional help. Someone who could help me understand if I was doing the right thing, help me process my feelings, help me figure out how to move forward with or without a relationship with my daughter. I found a therapist who specialized in family relationships and made an appointment for the following week. Saturday was exactly 1 week since Violet had chosen her spa day over visiting me in the hospital. It was also the day Violet finally tried a new tactic. I received a package in the mail. It was from Violet. Inside was a card with flowers on the front. I opened it cautiously. The card read, "Mom, I'm sorry you're upset. I never meant to hurt your feelings. I was just trying to balance my obligations to my friends with being there for you. I hope you can forgive me and we can move past this. I miss you. Love, Violet." I read the card 3 times, analyzing every word. I'm sorry you're upset. Not I'm sorry I chose a spa day over being with you in the hospital. Not I'm sorry I hurt you. Just I'm sorry you're upset. Psst, hung the blame on my reaction, not on her actions. I never meant to hurt your feelings. Maybe she didn't mean to, but she did. And intention doesn't erase impact. I was just trying to balance my obligations to my friends with being there for you. This sentence made me angry. I wasn't asking Violet to balance anything. I was asking her to choose her mother after emergency surgery over facials with friends. That shouldn't have required balancing. I hope you can forgive me and we can move past this. In other words, I want you to forgive me without me actually acknowledging what I did wrong, so we can go back to the way things were. This wasn't a real apology. This was damage control. Violet wanted to smooth things over without actually taking responsibility. I put the card back in the envelope, and I put the envelope in a drawer with the screenshots I'd saved. More evidence, more proof that Violet didn't understand what she'd done wrong. I didn't respond to the card. I didn't text or call to thank her for it, because thanking her for a non-apology would send the message that I accepted it, and I didn't. Sunday morning, exactly 1 week after I'd kicked Violet out of my hospital room, I received another phone call from an unknown number. This time, it was Bailey, another one of Violet's friends from the spa day. "Untold, this is Bailey," the voice said. "I'm calling because Violet is really struggling. She's been crying all week. She misses you, and she doesn't understand why you're being so stubborn." "Bailey, did Violet ask you to call me?" I asked. "Yes," Bailey admitted. "She's tried everything, calling, texting, sending that card, and you won't respond. She's worried you're never going to forgive her. And honestly, Untold, I think you're being really unfair. Violet made one mistake. She's apologized. You need to let it go." That was it. That was my breaking point. "Bailey, I'm going to explain this once," I said, my voice shaking with anger. Violet did not make one mistake. Violet has been treating me as her last priority for years. This situation with the hospital was just the most extreme example of a long-standing pattern. But, Bailey started. I'm not finished, I interrupted. Violet chose a spa day over being with her mother after emergency surgery. When I told her that hurt me, she told me I was being dramatic. She told Harper I was hormonal. She posted on social media lying about what happened to make herself look like a victim. And the card she sent me wasn't a real apology. It was a sorry you're upset non-apology that put all the blame on my reaction instead of on her actions. I think you're being too harsh, Bailey tried. And I think you need to stay out of my relationship with my daughter, I said firmly. Bailey, you and Harper and all of Violet's other friends don't get to vote on whether I forgive her. You don't get to tell me I'm being unfair when you don't know the full story. And you especially don't get to call me and guilt-trip me on Violet's behalf. I'm just trying to help, Bailey said defensively. You're not helping, I said. You're enabling Violet's refusal to take responsibility. If you really want to help, tell Violet to think about how she'd feel if her mother was in the hospital after emergency surgery and someone told her that facials were more important than being there. Ask her if she'd accept "sorry you're upset" as an apology. Ask her if she thinks it's okay to post lies on social media about her mother. Violet didn't lie, Bailey protested. Yes, she did, I said. She said she came to visit me and I kicked her out for no reason. She left out the part where she refused to come the day before when I actually needed her. She left out the part where she didn't apologize. She lied by omission, and you all believed her because she's your friend and you want to support her. But supporting someone doesn't mean enabling their bad behavior. I took a breath, trying to calm down. Bailey, I'm done with this conversation. Don't call me again. And tell Violet that if she wants to fix our relationship, she needs to stop sending her friends to fight her battles and start taking responsibility for her own actions. I hung up and immediately blocked Bailey's number. Then I sat down and cried, not because I regretted what I'd said to Bailey, but because I was exhausted. Exhausted from defending myself. Exhausted from being painted as the villain. Exhausted from having to explain over and over why I had a right to be hurt. I'd chosen myself. I'd set boundaries. I'd demanded respect. And apparently, that made me the bad guy in this story. But I wasn't backing down. Even if the whole world thought I was wrong, I knew I was right. My daughter had chosen her friends over her own mother. And I had chosen myself. And I was going to keep choosing myself, no matter how many of Violet's friends called to tell me I was being unfair. Before I continue, kindly subscribe now, smash that like button, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment. Is untold being too harsh on Violet? Should she give Violet another chance? Where are you watching from? Monday morning, 9 days after my emergency surgery, I had my first therapy appointment with Dr. Kamala Johnson, a family therapist who specialized in parent-adult-child relationships. I sat in Dr. Johnson's comfortable office, surrounded by calming colors and soft lighting, and told her everything. The emergency surgery, Violet choosing her spa day, the confrontation, Violet's non-apology, her friends calling to guilt-trip me, the social media post. Dr. Johnson listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Untold, I want to ask you something, Doctor. Jensen finally said. When you tell this story, whose reaction surprises you more, Violet's or yours? I thought about that. Mine, I admitted. I've never set boundaries with Violet before. I've never told her no. I've never kicked her out or blocked her number. This is completely out of character for me. Why do you think that is? Dr. Jensen asked. Because I'm her mother, I said. Mothers are supposed to be forgiving, understanding, always there for their children. Even when their children aren't there for them, Dr. Jensen asked gently. I felt tears spring to my eyes. I don't know. That's why I'm here. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm overreacting like Violet says. Let me ask you another question, Dr. Jensen said. If your best friend told you this story, if she said her daughter chose a spa day over being with her after emergency surgery, then demanded she apologize for being upset about it, What would you tell your friend? I'd tell her that her daughter was being selfish, I said immediately. I'd tell her she had every right to be hurt. But you can't tell yourself that, Dr. Jensen observed. It's different when it's your own child, I said. Why? Dr. Jensen asked. I opened my mouth to answer, then realized I didn't have a good reason. I don't know. Estelle, I'm going to share something with you, Dr. Jensen said. In my 20 years of doing family therapy, I've worked with hundreds of parents who struggle with adult children who take advantage of them. And almost all of those parents say the same thing you just said. It's different when it's your own child. But here's what I've learned. It's not different. Love doesn't mean accepting poor treatment. Being a parent doesn't mean sacrificing your self-respect. But I feel guilty, I admitted. Violet is my only child. What if I'm ruining our relationship over this? What if she never speaks to me again? Estelle, be honest with me, Dr. Jensen said. What kind of relationship do you have with Violet right now? I thought about that question, really thought about it. Not a good one, I finally admitted. I call her and she's too busy. I ask her to visit and she has other plans. The only time she makes time for me is when she needs something, advice, help, someone to listen to her problems. So you're worried about ruining a relationship that's already one-sided? Dr. Jensen asked. The words hit me like a punch. Yes, I guess so. Let me reframe this for you, Dr. Jensen said. You're not ruining your relationship with Violet. You're refusing to continue a relationship where you give everything and receive nothing. There's a difference. But she's my daughter, I said, my voice breaking. I love her. I know you do, Dr. Jensen said gently. But Estelle, love is a two-way street. You've been loving Violet unconditionally for 30 years. Has she been loving you back? I sat with that question, and I realized the answer was no. Violet loved me when it was convenient, when she needed something, when it didn't interfere with her social life. But she didn't love me the way I loved her. What should I do? I asked Dr. Jensen. Keep doing what you're doing, Dr. Jensen said. Maintain your boundaries, don't back down. And most importantly, stop feeling guilty for expecting your daughter to treat you with basic respect and consideration. Her friends think I'm being unfair, I said. Her friends don't matter, Dr. Jensen said bluntly. This isn't about what Harper or Bailey or anyone else thinks. This is about your relationship with your daughter. And right now, that relationship is unhealthy. You're not being unfair by demanding it change. You're being healthy. I left that therapy session feeling something I hadn't felt in days, validated. Someone with professional expertise had confirmed what I'd been feeling. I wasn't overreacting. I wasn't being unfair. I was setting necessary boundaries with a daughter who'd been taking advantage of me for years. And that validation gave me the strength to keep going. Tuesday afternoon, I decided to write Violet a letter. Not to send, at least not yet, but to organize my thoughts, to clarify for myself exactly what I needed from her. I sat at my kitchen table with a notebook and pen, and I started writing. Dear Violet, I'm writing this letter because I need to say things that I haven't been able to say in person. Things I've been thinking about for days. Things you need to hear. When I called you from the hospital and told you I just had emergency surgery, I wasn't being dramatic. I was scared. I was in pain. I was alone, and I needed my daughter. You told me you couldn't come because you had a spa day planned with your friends. In that moment, I felt something break inside me, because you were telling me, clearly and directly, that facials and manicures were more important to you than being with your mother after she'd almost died. You might not have meant it that way. You might have thought, the surgery is already over, so there's no emergency. But Violet, that's not how it works. When someone you love has a medical emergency, you show up. Not because they're currently dying, but because they're scared and they need you. The fact that you couldn't understand that, the fact that you thought it was reasonable to choose spa treatments over being with me, showed me something painful. It showed me that I'm not a priority in your life. I'm not even a consideration. I'm just there, in the background, available when you need me, irrelevant when you don't. And when I told you this hurt me, you didn't apologize. You told me I was being dramatic. You told Harper I was hormonal. You posted on social media portraying yourself as a victim and me as an unstable mother. You sent your friends to call me and guilt-trip me. But you never, not once, genuinely apologized for what you did. The card you sent said, "I'm sorry you're upset." That's not an apology. That's a dismissal. You're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry that I reacted to it. There's a difference. Violet, I love you. I will always love you. You're my daughter. But I can't keep accepting this treatment. I can't keep being the mother who gives everything and receives nothing. I can't keep pretending that our relationship is healthy when it's not. So I'm setting boundaries, and I'm going to stick to them. No more sacrificing my self-respect to maintain a relationship with you. No more accepting crumbs of your time and attention. No more being grateful that you occasionally fit me into your busy social schedule. From now on, I choose myself. I choose my peace. I choose my dignity. And if you want to be part of my life, you need to show me, through consistent actions, not just words, that you value me, that you respect me, that I matter to you. Until then, I'm done. Love, Mom. I read the letter 3 times. Each time I cried, because writing it all out made it real, made it clear how badly Violet had been treating me, made it impossible to keep making excuses for her. I folded the letter and put it in an envelope. I didn't address it. I wasn't sure if I'd ever send it, but writing it had been therapeutic. It had helped me organize my thoughts and clarify what I needed. And it had reinforced my decision to maintain my boundaries. Wednesday morning, I woke up to find I'd missed a call overnight from another unknown number. Violet had left a voicemail. I almost didn't listen to it, but curiosity got the better of me. Violet's voice on the recording sounded different than in her previous messages. Less angry, more desperate. "Mom, it's me. I'm using Iris's phone because you blocked mine. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I need you to listen to this message. Please. I've been thinking a lot about what happened, and I talked to Iris about it. She told me she thought I was wrong, that I should have come to the hospital when you asked, that choosing the spa day was selfish. At first, I didn't believe her. I thought she was just taking your side. But then I really thought about it, and I realized, if it had been my friend in the hospital, I would have gone. If Harper or Bailey called me and said they just had emergency surgery and needed me, I would have dropped everything and gone. So why didn't I do that for you? I think it's because I've gotten used to you always being there, always being available, always forgiving me no matter what, and I started taking that for granted. I started treating you like you didn't have feelings, like you were just Mom, always patient, always understanding, always there when I needed you. But you do have feelings, and I hurt them, and I'm sorry. I know you probably don't believe me. I know I've said sorry before and it wasn't a real apology. But Mom, I'm really trying to understand what I did wrong. I'm trying to see it from your perspective. And from your perspective, your daughter chose facials over being with you when you were scared and alone in the hospital. And then when you told me that hurt you, I got defensive instead of apologetic. I made it about me instead of about you. I sent my friends to guilt-trip you instead of taking responsibility. I messed up really badly, and I'm sorry. I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I don't expect you to unblock me or let me back into your life immediately. But I wanted you to know that I'm starting to understand, and I want to do better. If you're willing to talk to me, really talk, not just me making excuses, please call me back. I'll be waiting. I love you, Mom, and I'm sorry I forgot to show you that. Bye. I listened to that voicemail 3 times. This was different from Violet's previous messages. This wasn't defensive. This wasn't blaming me for being upset. This was actual acknowledgement that she'd been wrong. Was it enough? Was this the genuine apology I'd been waiting for? I didn't know. Part of me wanted to call Violet back immediately. Part of me was afraid that if I did, she'd go back to her old ways and I'd be right back where I started. I decided to wait, to sit with this voicemail for a while, to see if Violet followed up with actions, not just words. Because words were easy, actions were what mattered. Thursday, I had my second therapy session with Dr. Jensen. I told her about Violet's voicemail. "What do you think?" I asked. "Is this a real apology, or is she just saying what she thinks I want to hear?" "What do you think?" Dr. Jensen asked, turning the question back to me. "I don't know," I admitted. "It sounds more genuine than anything else she's said, but I'm scared to believe it. I'm scared that if I let her back in, she'll just go back to treating me the same way." "That's a valid fear," Dr. Jensen said. "Estelle, here's what I want you to consider. Apologies are important, but they're just the first step. What matters more than an apology is changed behavior. Has Violet given you any evidence that her behavior is going to change?" "Not yet," I said. "It's only been the voicemail." "Exactly," Dr. Jensen said. "So here's my suggestion. Don't rush to reconcile. Let Violet prove she means what she said. If she's genuinely sorry and genuinely wants to change, she'll be willing to put in the work to rebuild trust. If she's just saying what you want to hear so things can go back to normal, she'll get impatient when you don't immediately forgive her." "How long should I wait?" I asked. "As long as you need to," Dr. Jensen said. "There's no timeline for healing. You've been hurt by your daughter's actions for years, not just this one incident. You're allowed to take your time deciding whether to let her back into your life, and you're allowed to set conditions for that reconciliation." "What kind of conditions?" I asked. "That's up to you," Dr. Jensen said. "But I'd suggest thinking about what you need from Violet to feel safe in a relationship with her. Do you need her to prioritize you over her friends sometimes? Do you need her to visit more often? Do you need her to stop discussing your private relationship on social media? Make a list of what you need. And when you're ready to talk to Violet, share that list with her. See if she's willing to meet those needs." I spent the rest of the therapy session making that list. By the end, I had 5 things I needed from Violet. 1. A genuine, in-person apology that acknowledged specifically what she'd done wrong. 2. A commitment to prioritize our relationship over social events with friends, at least sometimes. 3. Regular contact, phone calls or visits at least twice a month. 4. Respect for my boundaries. If I say I need space or I'm upset, she needs to respect that instead of getting defensive. 5. Privacy. No more posting about our personal relationship on social media. Were these reasonable requests? I thought so, but I wouldn't know for sure until I shared them with Violet and saw how she responded. Friday afternoon, I received another package from Violet. This one was larger than the card she'd sent before. Inside was a scrapbook, a handmade scrapbook filled with photos of Violet and me throughout her life. There were pictures of me holding baby Violet in the hospital, pictures of toddler Violet on my lap reading books, pictures of child Violet and me at her elementary school plays and sporting events, pictures of teenage Violet and me at her high school graduation, pictures of young adult Violet and me at her college graduation. Every page had photos and captions. The captions were in Violet's handwriting. "Mom and me when I was born. You were so young, but you loved me so much." Mom reading to me every night, even when she was exhausted from working 2 jobs. Mom coming to my soccer games, even though she had to leave work early. Mom crying at my high school graduation because she was so proud. Mom at my college graduation. It took 6 years and cost her thousands of dollars, but she never complained. On the last page, there was no photo, just a handwritten note. "Mom, I made this scrapbook because I wanted to remember. I wanted to remember all the times you were there for me, all the sacrifices you made, all the love you gave me. And I wanted to remember so I could understand how badly I failed you when you needed me. You were there for every important moment of my life. And when you had a medical emergency and needed me, I chose a spa day. I don't know how to make that right. I don't know if I can, but I want to try. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking you to let me prove that I can be the daughter you deserve. I love you, Mom, and I'm sorry I forgot to show you. Love, Violet." I sat on my couch, holding that scrapbook, and I sobbed. Because looking at those photos reminded me of who Violet used to be, or maybe who I thought she was. The little girl who used to hug me and tell me I was the best mom in the world. The teenager who used to come to me with her problems. The young woman who used to call me just to chat. When had that changed? When had I become an afterthought instead of a priority? I didn't have an answer, but looking at that scrapbook, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe Violet was genuinely trying to understand what she'd done wrong. Maybe she was genuinely sorry. Maybe it was time to at least talk to her. Saturday morning, 2 weeks after my emergency surgery, I made a decision. I was going to call Violet back. Not to forgive her immediately, not to pretend everything was fine, but to give her a chance to have the conversation we should have had 2 weeks ago. I unblocked Violet's number, then I called her. She answered on the first ring. "Mom!" Her voice was tentative, hopeful, scared. "Hi, Violet," I said. "I got your voicemail and the scrapbook." Did you like the scrapbook?" Violet asked nervously. "It made me cry," I admitted. "It reminded me of all the good times we've had. But Violet, good memories don't erase current hurt. You understand that, right?" "I understand," Violet said quickly. "Mom, I'm not calling to ask you to forget what happened. I'm not calling to make excuses. I want to talk, really talk. Can we do that?" "Yes," I said, "but I have some conditions." "Okay," Violet said. "What are they?" "First, this conversation happens in person," I said. "Not over the phone. I need to see your face. I need to know you're being sincere." "I can drive to you today," Violet said immediately. "Right now if you want." "Not today," I said. "I'm not ready yet, but maybe next weekend. That gives us both time to think about what we need to say." "Okay," Violet agreed. "Next weekend, I'll be there." "Second," I continued, "when we talk, I need you to really listen. Not just wait for your turn to talk, not get defensive. Really listen to how your actions hurt me." "I will," Violet promised. "I want to understand, Mom, I really do." "And third," I said, "this isn't a one-time conversation. If we're going to rebuild our relationship, it's going to take time and consistent effort. Not just one apology and then back to how things were. Actual change in how we interact. Are you willing to do that?" There was a pause. Then Violet said, "Yes, I'm willing. Mom, I know I messed up. And I know I've been a bad daughter for a long time, not just these past 2 weeks. I want to do better. I want to be the kind of daughter who's there for you the way you've always been there for me." "We'll see," I said, not unkindly but honestly. "Words are easy, Violet. It's the actions that matter." "I know," Violet said, "and I'm going to show you, not just tell you, show you." "Okay," I said. "I'll see you next Saturday, 2 o'clock, at my apartment." "I'll be there," Violet said. "Mom." "Yes." "Thank you," Violet said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for giving me another chance." "I'm giving you a chance to prove you mean what you say," I corrected gently. "Whether it's really another chance depends on what you do with it." After I hung up, I sat on my couch feeling a mix of emotions. Hope, fear, uncertainty, but also something else. Pride. Pride that I'd stood my ground. Pride that I'd maintained my boundaries. Pride that I was requiring Violet to prove she'd changed instead of just accepting her words at face value. 2 weeks ago, my daughter had chosen her friends over her own mother. The next day, I'd chosen myself. And that choice, that simple decision to finally put myself first, had led to this moment. A moment where maybe, just maybe, my relationship with my daughter could become something healthier. Something more balanced. Something where I wasn't always giving and she wasn't always taking. But only if Violet followed through. Only if her actions matched her words. And I wouldn't know that until next Saturday. Before I continue, kindly subscribe now. Smash that like button and turn on notifications. Drop a comment. Will Violet really change? Should Estelle forgive her? Where are you watching from? The week leading up to Saturday felt like the longest week of my life. I'd agreed to meet with Violet, to give her a chance to apologize in person and explain how she was going to change. But part of me was terrified. What if this was just another manipulation? What if Violet said all the right things, but then went back to her old behavior? What if I forgave her and ended up right back where I started, being treated as her last priority? I had another therapy session with Dr. Jensen on Wednesday to help me prepare. I'm scared, I admitted to Dr. Jensen. What if I'm making a mistake by even talking to her? You're not making a mistake, Dr. Jensen assured me. You're giving Violet an opportunity to prove she's changed. But Estelle, you need to remember something important. You're in control here. You set the terms. You decide if her apology is genuine. You decide if her promises are enough. And you decide whether to let her back into your life. But what if I make the wrong decision? I asked. There's no wrong decision, Dr. Jensen said. There's only the decision that's right for you. If you listen to your gut, if you pay attention to your feelings and trust your judgment, you'll make the right choice. My gut is telling me to be cautious, I admitted. Then be cautious, Dr. Jensen said. Being open to reconciliation doesn't mean being naive. You can give Violet a chance while still protecting yourself. You can forgive while still maintaining boundaries. That helped. I wasn't choosing between forgiving Violet completely or cutting her off forever. I was choosing to see if there was a middle ground, a way to rebuild our relationship on healthier terms. Saturday morning, I woke up nervous. Violet would be arriving at 2 p.m. I had hours to prepare, but I didn't know how to prepare for this kind of conversation. I cleaned my apartment, even though it was already clean. I made tea, even though I was too nervous to drink it. I rehearsed what I wanted to say, even though I knew the conversation wouldn't go exactly as planned. At 1:55 p.m., there was a knock on my door. Violet was early. I opened the door and saw my daughter standing there, and my breath caught. She looked different. Not physically, she looked the same, but something about her demeanor was different. She wasn't wearing her usual designer workout clothes or trendy outfits. She was dressed simply jeans and a plain sweater, no makeup, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She looked humble, nervous, young. "Hi, Mom," Violet said quietly. "Come in," I said, stepping aside. Violet entered my apartment and stood awkwardly in the living room. I gestured to the couch. "Sit down." We both sat, me in my armchair, Violet on the couch. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Violet broke the silence. "Mom, thank you for agreeing to see me. I know I don't deserve it." "You're right," I said. "You don't, but I'm willing to listen. That's all I'm promising right now, that I'll listen." "That's more than I have any right to ask for," Violet said. She took a deep breath. "Mom, I've been doing a lot of thinking over the past 2 weeks, and I've realized something painful. I've been a terrible daughter." I didn't contradict her. I just waited for her to continue. "Not just these past 2 weeks," Violet continued. "For years, ever since I moved away, I've been treating you like you're disposable. Like you're just there in the background, always available when I need you, but not important enough to prioritize when you need me." "Yes," I said simply. "That's exactly how you've been treating me." Violet's eyes filled with tears. I didn't realize I was doing it. Or maybe I did realize, but I didn't want to admit it. I told myself I was just busy, that I had my own life, that you understood because you're my mom and moms are supposed to be understanding. Moms are supposed to be understanding, I agreed. But that doesn't mean we don't have feelings. That doesn't mean we don't need our children to care about us too. "I know that now," Violet said. "Mom, when you kicked me out of that hospital room and told me not to come back, I was so angry at you. I thought you were overreacting. I thought you were being unfair. But then you blocked my number and unfriended me on social media, and I realized you were serious. You weren't just throwing a tantrum. You were setting a boundary." "The first boundary I've ever set with you," I said. "Yes," Violet admitted. "And it scared me, because for the first time in my life I realized I could lose you, not because you died, but because you chose to walk away from me, and that thought terrified me." "Why?" I asked. "If I'm not important enough for you to visit when I'm in the hospital, why does it matter if you lose me?" Violet flinched. "Because you're my mom, and even though I've been a terrible daughter, I love you, and the thought of living in a world where you don't want me in your life, It's unbearable. Then why did you treat me that way? I asked, my voice breaking. If you love me, why did you choose a spa day over being with me after emergency surgery? Violet was crying now. Because I took you for granted. I've been taking you for granted for so long that I forgot you're a person with feelings. I forgot that you need me the way I need you. I got so used to you always being there that I started believing you always would be, no matter how badly I treated you. And now, I asked. Now I know I was wrong, Violet said. Now I know that relationships require effort from both people. That being someone's daughter doesn't give me the right to treat them like they don't matter. That love isn't just about receiving, it's about giving too. I sat with that for a moment. This was the most honest Violet had ever been with me. She wasn't making excuses. She wasn't blaming me for being too sensitive. She was taking full responsibility. But words were still just words. I needed to know if she understood what needed to change. Violet, I made a list, I said. A list of things I need from you if we're going to rebuild our relationship. Do you want to hear it? Yes, Violet said immediately. Please. I pulled out the list I'd made in therapy. First, I need you to apologize. Not a sorry you're upset apology. A real apology where you acknowledge specifically what you did wrong and take responsibility for it. I can do that, Violet said. She took a deep breath. Mom, I'm sorry I chose a spa day over being with you in the hospital after you had emergency surgery. I'm sorry I told you that you were being dramatic when you said that hurt you. I'm sorry I discussed our private family situation with my friends and let them call you to guilt trip you. I'm sorry I posted on social media portraying myself as a victim instead of taking responsibility. I'm sorry for years of treating you as my last priority. And I'm sorry it took you setting boundaries for me to realize how badly I was treating you. Tears were streaming down my face. Thank you, I whispered. What's next on the list? Violet asked. Second, I need you to prioritize our relationship, I said. Not over everything. I understand you have friends and a social life, but sometimes I need to come first. If I call you and tell you I need you to actually come, not send your friends to check on me, not promise to visit soon. Actually show up. I will, Violet promised. Mom, from now on, you're a priority, not just when it's convenient, all the time. Third, I need regular contact, I continued. Phone calls or visits at least twice a month, not just when you need something from me, just to talk, to stay connected. Done, Violet said. Actually, I want to do better than that. I want to call you once a week and visit at least once a month. Is that okay? I felt hope blooming in my chest. That would be wonderful. Fourth, I need you to respect my boundaries, I said. If I tell you I'm upset, I need you to listen instead of getting defensive. If I tell you I need space, I need you to give it to me. And if I set a limit, I need you to respect it. I will, Violet said. Mom, I promise I'll respect your boundaries. And if I mess up, if I get defensive or push back, I want you to call me out on it. Don't let me get away with that behavior anymore. And fifth, I said, I need privacy. No more posting about our personal relationship on social media. Our relationship is between us, not your friends. I already deleted that post, Violet said. And I posted an apology. I told everyone that I was wrong, that I'd hurt you, and that the situation was my fault, not yours. I wanted people to know the truth. I was surprised. You did that? Yes, Violet said. It was hard. Some of my friends commented saying I was being too hard on myself, but I needed to do it. I needed to take responsibility publicly, not just privately. I sat back in my chair, processing everything Violet had said. She'd met every item on my list. She'd apologized genuinely. She'd committed to changing her behavior. She'd already taken steps to make things right. But I still had one question. Violet, why? I asked. Why are you willing to do all of this now? 2 weeks ago, you thought I was overreacting. What changed? Violet was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Iris changed. She's the only one of my friends who told me I was wrong. And at first, I was angry at her for taking your side. But then I really thought about what she said. She asked me, if your mom died tomorrow, would you regret choosing that spa day over being with her in the hospital? And Mom, the answer was yes. Of course I would regret it. I would regret it for the rest of my life. Violet took a shaky breath. And then I realized something else. You almost died. The doctor said your gallbladder was about to rupture. If you'd waited another day to go to the hospital, you could have died from the infection. And I would have spent the rest of my life knowing that the last time you asked me to be there for you, I chose facials instead. That scared me, Violet continued. It scared me to realize how close I came to losing you without ever making things right. So I started really looking at our relationship. And I didn't like what I saw. I saw a mother who'd sacrificed everything for her daughter. And I saw a daughter who'd taken all of that for granted and given nothing back. And I decided I didn't want to be that daughter anymore, Violet said. I want to be the kind of daughter who's there for you, who values you, who makes you a priority. Not because I'm afraid of losing you, but because you deserve it. Because you've earned it through 30 years of loving me unconditionally. I was crying openly now. Violet, do you mean that? All of it? Every word, Violet said. And Mom, I know you probably don't trust me right now. I know I need to prove myself through actions, not just words. So I'm not asking you to forgive me completely right now. I'm just asking you to give me a chance to show you I've changed. How? I asked. Let me start visiting you regularly, Violet said. Let me call you every week. Let me be there for you the way you've always been there for me. And if I mess up, if I start falling back into old patterns, tell me. Hold me accountable. Don't let me get away with treating you badly anymore. I thought about it. Part of me was still scared. Part of me wanted to protect myself by keeping Violet at arm's length. But another part of me, the part that had missed my daughter desperately over the past 2 weeks, wanted to believe her, wanted to give her a chance. Okay, I finally said. I'll give you a chance. But Violet, I need you to understand something. This is your one chance. If you go back to your old behavior, if you start treating me like I don't matter again, I won't give you another opportunity. I'll walk away for good. Do you understand? I understand, Violet said. And I won't let you down, I promise. 3 months after that conversation in my living room, I could say with certainty that Violet had kept her promise. She called me every Sunday evening. Not quick, obligatory calls, but real conversations that lasted an hour or more. She asked about my life, my health, my feelings. She shared things about her own life. We talked like we hadn't talked in years. She visited every other weekend. Sometimes we'd go out to dinner. Sometimes we'd just sit in my apartment and watch movies. Sometimes she'd help me with things around the house. But she always showed up when she said she would. And most importantly, when I needed her, she was there. 2 months after our conversation, I had a follow-up appointment with my surgeon. I was nervous about it, worried that something might be wrong. When I mentioned it to Violet during our Sunday call, she immediately said, "I'm coming with you." "You don't have to do that," I said. "It's just a follow-up appointment." "I want to," Violet said firmly. "Mom, you were alone for your emergency surgery. You're not going to be alone for this appointment. I'm coming." And she did. She drove 3 hours to be with me for a 30-minute doctor's appointment. She sat with me in the waiting room. She came into the exam room with me. And when the doctor said everything looked great and I was healing perfectly, Violet hugged me and said, "I'm so glad you're okay, Mom." On the drive back to my apartment, I said, "Thank you for being here today." "Of course," Violet said. "Mom, I'm always going to be here from now on. When you need me, I'll be there. No excuses, no choosing other things over you. You're my priority." And I believed her, because she'd proven it. 6 months after Violet and I had our conversation, we were having dinner at a restaurant to celebrate my 59th birthday. Violet had driven to see me on my actual birthday, not a week late, not with a text message, but on the actual day. She'd brought me a beautiful gift, a framed photo of the two of us from when she was little, with a new photo of us from last month placed beside it. The caption read, "Then and now, a mother's love never changes, but a daughter's appreciation can grow." Over dinner, Violet said something that surprised me. "Mom, I've been in therapy," she said. "You have?" I asked. "Yes," Violet said. "After everything that happened, I realized I needed help understanding why I'd been treating you so badly. So I found a therapist who specializes in family relationships. What have you learned? I asked. A lot, Violet said. I've learned that I had what my therapist calls entitlement issues. I grew up believing that because you were my mom, you were obligated to always be there for me, always put me first, always forgive me. I never thought about what I owed you in return. I never wanted you to feel like you owed me anything, I said. I know, Violet said. But Mom, relationships aren't just about what we're obligated to give. They're about what we choose to give, and I was choosing to give you nothing while taking everything. Violet took a sip of water. My therapist helped me understand something else, too. She said that by always accommodating my bad behavior, you were actually enabling it. Every time I treated you badly and you forgave me without requiring me to change, I learned that I could keep treating you that way without consequences. Dr. Johnson told me something similar, I admitted. She said that by finally setting boundaries, I was doing what I should have done years ago. She was right, Violet said. Mom, I'm not glad you had to go through that emergency surgery, but I'm glad it led to this, to us having a real relationship, to me finally appreciating you the way you deserve to be appreciated. I'm glad too, I said. Violet, these past 6 months have been wonderful. Having you in my life, really in my life, not just on the periphery, has made me so happy. Me too, Violet said. And Mom, I want you to know I'm never going back to the way things were. This isn't temporary. This is who I want to be. The kind of daughter who's there for her mother, who values her mother, who makes her mother a priority. 1 year after my emergency gallbladder surgery, Violet and I were sitting in my living room. The same living room where I'd kicked her out, where we'd had our difficult conversation, where we'd started rebuilding our relationship. Mom, do you remember this day last year? Violet asked. How could I forget? I said. This is the day you chose your spa day over being with me in the hospital. And the day after you chose yourself, Violet finished. Mom, can I tell you something? Of course, I said. Choosing yourself was the best thing you ever did for our relationship, Violet said. I know that sounds strange, but it's true. If you hadn't set that boundary, if you'd just forgiven me and moved on like you always did, I never would have changed. I would have kept treating you the same way, and eventually our relationship would have died completely. I was so scared when I told you to leave, I admitted. I thought I might be losing you forever. You were never going to lose me, Violet said. But you were going to lose the version of me who took advantage of you. And that needed to happen so I could become the version of me who actually appreciates you. Violet took my hand. Mom, I know I've said this before, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry. For everything. For years of treating you like you didn't matter. For choosing a spa day over being with you when you needed me. For getting defensive instead of listening when you told me I'd hurt you. For all of it. I know you are, I said, and I forgive you completely. Thank you, Violet said. Mom, I promise you, for the rest of your life, you'll never have to choose between me and yourself, because I'm always going to choose you. And she has. For the past year, Violet has shown me through consistent actions that she meant what she said. She calls every week. She visits twice a month. She shows up when I need her. She prioritizes our relationship. Our relationship isn't perfect. No relationship is. Sometimes we disagree. Sometimes old patterns try to creep back in. But when that happens, we talk about it. We address it. We work through it together. Because we both learned something important from that terrible day 1 year ago. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean accepting poor treatment. That being a mother doesn't mean sacrificing my self-respect. That setting boundaries isn't cruel. It's necessary. And Violet learned that relationships require effort from both people. That taking someone for granted eventually means losing them. That love isn't just about what you receive, it's about what you give. My daughter chose her friends over her own mother. The next day, I chose myself. And that choice, that painful, difficult, necessary choice, saved our relationship. Because sometimes, The most loving thing you can do is refuse to accept being treated as less than you deserve. Sometimes, choosing yourself is the only way to teach someone else to choose you too. And sometimes, the relationships we fight the hardest to change become the relationships that matter most. 1 year ago, I was lying in a hospital bed, alone and heartbroken, wondering if my relationship with my daughter could ever be repaired. Today, I'm sitting in my living room with a daughter who calls me every week, visits me regularly, and shows up when I need her. The journey from there to here wasn't easy. It required me to set painful boundaries. It required Violet to do difficult self-reflection. It required both of us to be willing to change. But it was worth it. Every difficult conversation, every tear, every moment of uncertainty. Because now I have what I always wanted, a real relationship with my daughter. Not a one-sided relationship where I give everything and receive nothing, but a balanced relationship where we both choose each other, both value each other, both prioritize each other. And it all started the day I finally chose myself. This story proves that setting boundaries can save relationships. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Real change requires accountability. Love means treating people with respect. Children must learn to value their parents. Forgiveness doesn't mean accepting poor treatment. Actions speak louder than words. It's never too late to demand better. If this story moved you, subscribe for more powerful family transformation stories. Smash that like button. Turn on notifications. Drop a comment. Did Estelle do the right thing by setting boundaries? Have you ever had to choose yourself over family? Where are you watching from? United States, Canada, United Kingdom, Jamaica, South Africa, Australia, Trinidad, India, Philippines. Remember, if family takes you for granted, set boundaries. Don't accept being last priority, demand respect, choose yourself when necessary. Real love requires effort from both sides. Setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's healthy. Don't enable poor treatment. Actions prove change, not words. Being parent doesn't mean accepting disrespect. You deserve to be valued. Choosing yourself can save relationships. Stand firm in your worth. Thank you for following Estelle and Violet's journey from broken to healed.